would you say men are visual, right?
Yep.
Women are more comfortable with economical beings that are structurally sound. And when I say the foundation don't shift, it's sound.
Well, think about this. How many men do you know that are that have OnlyFans accounts with women supporting them? I don't know anybody. It's always been men giving security for sex, right? It's always been from the beginning of time. Prostitution is the world's oldest profession. And it's right, very easily provable. If a woman goes to the gym, what is she most likely to work out?
Her butt.
Her butt. Why? Because of sex. She wants to show, look at this.
Go further.
And what's a man workout? Arms. I can provide. I got, right?
But go further with that. When a woman put on a pair of pants, the first thing she look at is what?
Her butt.
Her butt.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. I'm so excited, guys. I'm so excited. I'm here today with one of my Christian brothers, and I don't like to talk overly and impose my religion, but I am a Christian. So I do like to acknowledge my beliefs, and we share the same belief. I apologize.
No worries.
We share the same belief. But today, his last name is very hard to pronounce, so I'm gonna let you pronounce his name.
Kowalski.
You said it's Polish?
Yeah.
Listen, this guy's amazing, guys. You're gonna learn a lot today from this guy. So what got you into doing what you're doing right now?
This message in particular?
Yes.
Well, before I followed Jesus, which I started following Jesus 25 years ago, had this radical encounter with him. And but before that, I was like a notorious man whore. I was in the nightclub scene. I was a male stripper, had sex with...
Not that.
You could have did it, though.
Yeah, could have.
Yeah, I mean, didn't really think about God much. Unless I would see somebody praying, I might wonder if anybody was listening. That was probably the extent that God, I thought about God.
Yes.
But my God was pleasure. And I had this encounter where I became very aware that Jesus is who he said he is, and he wanted me to follow him, or he was asking me to trust him and follow him, which I did. And I knew that the belief was monogamy, only marriage, that's kind of Christian. And I assumed it was very well researched. I didn't even question it.
Yes.
And I thought, well, okay, I'm going to be a one-woman man, and God, I'm going to wait for you to give me a wife. And I assumed if I didn't sin long enough, that God would, reward me with this unicorn that I had never met before, because I had never met a woman that I didn't have a wandering eye with. I was always I was never very good in monogamous relationships.
Yes.
And I would be unfaithful, or I would just, would crash and burn at some point. So because I wanted to be free, not because, they always wanted to be with me, but I just couldn't bring myself to say I do to one woman and not feel like I was there's a strong chances this is gonna end, or I'm gonna cheat, something's gonna happen. So let me just keep waiting until some woman comes along and makes me feel different about her than I've ever felt about any other woman in my life. So me not researching monogamy only led to basically a combined 18 years of me being single and abstinent of my first 23 years of Christianity, which was terrible.
How hard was that?
Very hard. I mean, I started following Jesus when I was 27. So I was, I was a young guy. I was in good shape. I had a lot of options. And I had to keep such strong boundaries with women in order to not fall into sexual sin that it was very lonely, actually. It was very depressing at times and very confusing, because I'm doing everything they're telling me to do. God, where's this wife at?
Yes.
And eventually, about 2 years ago, just on a whim, I never heard anybody bring up this topic in a Christian circles. No one ever mentioned Christianity and polygamy in the same sentence.
Okay.
But just on a whim, I just I saw a Netflix special where it was about cults, actually. But and then I'm not advocating cults. That sounds terrible.
Yes.
But the guys, all these cults had multiple wives. So it just got me thinking. And I was like, I wonder if there's any Christian churches that actually believe in polygamy. Because deep down, I always knew that I had a polygynous nature. And we could talk about polygyny versus polygamy if you want to at some point. But I always knew I had a nature, the nature that for variety, let's just say. Mm-hmm. But I would never admit it to myself because I thought it was a sin.
Yes.
So I was like, I didn't want to go there and be like, this is what I want or this is who I am. So I would always be like, I'd see, a guy like Andrew Tate or something. I'd be like, nah, I'm sure it really looks better than it is. It's probably chaotic behind the scenes. I would kind of just try to dismiss it and come up with all the reasons why I didn't really want it, or, it wouldn't be as good as I thought it would. But then one day I just researched it, and I realized that I'd been lied to, man, that this is the biggest deception in all of Christianity, if not the world. And it's definitely the most destructive. It causes so much pain, mostly to women and children. And I know people, and the only reason I even stumbled on it, right, was because I was simultaneously committed to not settling and not having sex outside of marriage. Yes. Now, most people aren't committed. They may be committed to one, but not the other. Yes. So they're like, okay, I don't want to settle, but I'm still going to have sex outside of marriage. Or, maybe they think, okay, I'm 35, it's time to get married. So they just settle. But then there's a 50% divorce rate. So I was a very self-aware. I was like, I knew myself. I knew the divorce rate. I never wanted to be divorced. So I was like, I'm going to wait. And I'm also not going to have sex outside of marriage. And I kind of became the poster boy for sexual purity. I wrote a book about it and made a viral video called 10 Reasons Not to Have Sex Before Marriage. Yeah. But this was all prior to discovering this truth. So now, because and the reason that I'm so passionate about exposing this lie is because, back to your question, is because it cost me so much, man. Like, I would have kids in probably high school and junior high. I'd probably have a dozen kids, maybe more, by now, because there were certainly enough women that wanted to marry me. And if I would have said to them at some point, look, you're going to be exclusive to me. I may or may not be exclusive to you. I may take on additional women if God tells me to. They would have been like, okay with it. They might have had a problem at first. Some of them might not have stuck around, but some of them would have. I know that they were just very heartbroken when I let them go. And, but I thought it was a sin. So I just did this constant catch and release with women, as I'd sleep with them and I'd date them for a little while, but then I'd throw them back because I'm like, she's a good one, but I think there might be a better one in there somewhere, and I need to wait a little longer. And this is what happens with men under monogamy only, especially the men that have options, is because the idea of one of anything for your entire life, man, you're going to overthink the shit out. Excuse my language. Are we allowed to cuss?
It's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're going to overthink the crap out of it if we get one of anything. If it's a car, or if it's a pair of jeans, anything you get one of for the rest of your life, you're going to be like, you're going to want to try a lot of jeans on. So, and this 100%. Is what happens with men is we got duped into this in love, romantic thing. Yes. And it never came from God or God's people. God's people were polygamous. It's very clear in the Bible. The men who were the closest to God in all of human history had multiple wives.
You ever heard it saying that 90% of women are in line waiting for 10% of men?
Yeah.
You ever heard that?
Absolutely. That's true. So polygyny is already happening.
Yeah.
It's just very scummy the way it happens, is because the men have bought into this lie, like all of us, because we were raised in, this culture that tells you you have to be monogamous. And now we have to lie, we have to sneak around, we have to cheat, even though the concept of cheating is nowhere in the Bible. Never was a man in the Bible with more than one wife ever called a sinner, punished for anything. Even adultery, we've been lied to about adultery. Adultery is not what we've been told. If you look at the Bible, adultery always had to do with the biblical definition of adultery always had to do with the marital status of the woman. So if a married man had sex with a woman that wasn't his wife, he's not in adultery unless that woman's married. Now, if he takes another man's wife, he's an adulterer. But if a married man has sex with a single woman, he's not an adultery. So even the churches will lie to you and say, "Oh, he was cheating. You're an adulterer." No, that's not what the Bible says. Now, look, I'm not saying anyone should do that, because God forbid you break up your family.
Yes.
But it's fornication or maybe sexual immorality, but it's not adultery, and we need to stop calling it that. Now, if your wife steps out on you, she's an adulterer, and that's a very serious sin. So we have to go back to the beginning, because the reason that when you get outside of God's design, you're going to have a lot of bad things start happening. And we can just look around, and I believe that monogamy only, not monogamy, because monogamy is great. I think the majority of men would practice monogamy, even if polygyny was normalized, legalized. Yeah. The majority of men would practice monogamy, because not all men could actually land more than one woman. And it's actually a lot more work, to be honest.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think so too. Would you say it makes sense, because it's like, do you, in your mind, do you believe, and I'm only saying your mind because I want you to have your point of view, do you believe that men can be like committed to one person?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You think so?
Some can, but I think by nature we're polygynous. in general, if a woman walks into a room of men,
Let me retract the statement. If a man has options,
if he has options, I think it's a big ask for a man to give exclusivity to a woman. I mean, just think about this. If a man gets married, and let's say they're in their early 20s, her sexual market value is dropping. Whether you like it or not, a woman's is dropping as she gets older, and she's less fertile and less, youthful and all that. Yes. A man's is rising because as he establishes himself, and you actually talked about this on a podcast I listened to today, where a woman is more concerned with where a man is going, and a man is more concerned with where a woman's been.
Yes.
Not exactly ties in, but the point is a woman's sexual market value is dropping as she gets older, and a man's usually is rising. So to think that they're going to stay together their entire life under monogamy only is completely unrealistic, because that man hits 45, he's just hitting his stride. And now he's got the 25-year-old in his office, this little baddie, showing him some attention, and you expect him to stay with his wanted wife. The only thing that's holding the marriage together is moral fabric of the man. And that's you can't always count on that. In the Bible, he would just bring the 25-year-old home and say, you're going to be my second wife. Now, maybe she can have him some more kids, because the 45-year-old, she's already hit menopause. She can't, reproduce anymore. So now he can build his legacy and his family, and he could do that as many times as long as he can protect and provide for the woman. And see, this is why it solves so many problems, because you get men that we are wired for variety, whether people like it or not, but it's not a flaw. It's a feature, because there always are going to be more women that need a godly man or a good, capable, let's just say a good, capable husband, than there are good, capable men that are willing to marry them. So there's always going to be an imbalance. And right now you got a bunch of women running around and they're just dealing with the scraps, because a lot of the good men like yourself are already married.
100%. But watch this question. If why I think that a lot of women don't want to establish or acknowledge that they lose value in the dating market? Because it's saying in their mind, they look at it like you're saying they're worthless.
No.
But then if you look at it, the reason why I think women lose value faster, is because they're born with value. Men have to earn their value.
Yes.
And while we're earning our value, meaning we're building our careers, we're elevating our finances, we're doing better for ourselves, we're elevating our social status. I think women are born legit like a woman is born from day one.
Absolutely.
With value.
Absolutely.
So I think we have to earn it. So therefore we get it later in most cases.
Yep.
What you got, Tyler?
I was gonna ask, so speaking of men having options, what do you say to the men who say like it's expensive, like or it's a rich man's sport?
Yeah.
What will you guys say about that?
Okay, I'm gonna let you answer first.
Well, first off, I think that's one of the biggest myths in this topic. People say that a lot. You better be rich if you're going to have more than one wife. If you go back and you read Proverbs 31, that is the chapter in the Bible that talks about what a good, godly wife is like. That woman was a hustler. She got up early. She was contributing to she had side hustles. She was making money. Now, I don't believe my wife should call another man boss. I'm not saying that. But if my wife wants, she should have some things going on. Even if just the fact that she's just at home taking care of the kids in the house while my other wife is running her side business or contributing to my mission. Women were created to be helpmates. The man gets the mission from God, and then God, this is how it happened, Adam and Eve. People think Eve was created at the same time as Adam. A lot of people do, and she wasn't.
She wasn't.
She came along after. Adam was on his mission. God said, name the animals, take care of the garden. After he was doing what God told him to do, then he got a helpmate. So imagine if, like a man like Q here, you have a big mission, and you're like, look, man, I really could use somebody that was good at this thing, admin, finance, whatever. Like, that would help me get to the bag a lot quicker, right? I think God is pleased with you because he gave you the mission. And if your job is to complete the mission that he gave you, and if you can go further, faster with more than one helpmate, why wouldn't you do it? Especially considering the vast need. There's so many women out here in the wilderness trying to find a good man. And again, a lot of them are already taken. So why would we tell the most capable men that you can only have one? It's like, it's demonic in my opinion.
I think when I listen to a lot of women talk about the man they want, I'm like, there's very far and few.
Right.
And I'm like, and the ones, being honest and fair, a lot of the ones that are to the magnitude, he's popular, he's respectful, he's handsome, he's this, he's that, 6 figures, 6 foot, all of these things. I'm like, in most cases, they're mostly taken because there are some women that learn at an earlier age that, I gotta get my man while I can.
Right.
Some women are hunting earlier because they understand that they're gonna lose value as they age. And I'm not saying losing value for self-value. So
Yes.
I got to make sure I say this. Losing value in the dating world
Yes.
and losing self-value is 2
100%.
different values.
Exactly.
So a lot of times when you say this, I think it's a trigger.
It does.
For a lot of women, they take it like, oh my God, you're saying I'm not valuable.
No.
And I'm like, no, I'm saying the person that determines your value is the market.
Yes.
And the market is the opposite sex that's trying to subscribe to you.
100%.
So I think a lot of people can't understand that when you say that.
It does trigger them. Yeah.
It triggers.
Yes, it's sexual market value, and that's not determined by me or you or anyone else. It's determined by the market, right?
Yes.
You can think your house is worth 1.2 million, but if nobody's buying your house, you got to lower the price. You're overvaluing yourself. So the market is going to determine, and whether we like it or not, I think the sexiest women alive is usually like in their 23 years old, I think on average. But the sexiest man alive is like in their 50s.
Of course.
It's always been that way because men, it's all about resources. So it's about fertility for women because, men want to breed. We want to reproduce and build a legacy. And women want resources. And usually older men have more resources because like
it's
you said.
longer to get established.
So it goes back to that. But it definitely, I've definitely triggered people with that. But
100%.
Not inherent value.
Yes, they take it wrong. If a woman walk in the room right now, and I always tell you this, and she tells me she's a 10 out of a 10, I would tell her she has a right to feel that way.
Right.
And the reason being is because your self-value shouldn't be determined by someone else, especially how you feel about yourself. I don't think a person can be overly confident. I think a person should be very confident. That means you love yourself.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, there's a difference between loving yourself and being arrogant.
Right.
Right? There's 2 different things, or being conceited.
Or unrealistic.
Yes, unrealistic also. Yeah. But realistically, when we talk about dating, when I hear some of the people talk about what they want, I'm like, are people lining up for you with that value that you're looking for? Yeah, and if they are, then I can understand why you look for that. Well, I genuinely believe more women will find a man they can partner with than they actually can find that'll take care of them these days.
Yeah.
Well,
I think the part of the problem is like what you said, 90% of the women are dating and sleeping with 10% of the men.
Yes.
Sometimes some people say 80-20, whatever it is. The issue is you got a few men that are getting the lion's share of the women.
Yes.
And they're not committing, but the women are holding out for the commitment. They think just because a 9.5 man slept with them, that they deserve a 9.5 man husband, which is not true. And it prevents them from actually finding their sexual marketplace value equal.
I need you to say that one more time.
So imagine
one more time.
Imagine she's a 7, okay? A 9.5, because a 9.5 man, I've slept with girls that I wouldn't even tell my friends about. Like, women are hypergamous, men are hypogamous. We don't even want a woman above us. It actually emasculates us. So we don't want a woman that makes more than us and is more popular. No, we'll wife the barista at Starbucks. We have no problem with that.
Yes,
she doesn't need to have the money or whatever else status. We got that.
Yes.
So, but when a 7, if a woman, and again, sexual market value 7, if she sleeps with a man that's, let's say, a 9.5 sexual market value, in her mind, she thinks that she can marry a 9.5, and now she's not even entertaining the other 7s. Her realistic market value man that would marry her, he's invisible to her.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why you got the marriage rates that are in the toilet, because we lost sexual purity. We lost valuing saving sex for marriage. Because if we did, the woman would say, the man would show her some attention, and when she didn't sleep with him, he would be gone. But now he's got a rotation. So he keeps her around. He'll sleep with her once every 1 or 2 weeks. And she's holding out for the commitment that never comes. And the men that actually would marry her are just, like I said, they're not seen. And then this is why you got women that are, we're not reproducing at the rates that we were. And I heard a stat the other day that 80% of women who are childless never intended to be. How sad. 4 out of 5 women that don't have kids never intended to not have kids. They just got stuck in this effed up dating culture that we have, this cesspool. And I believe that, monogamy only is at the core of it. And this is why I'm here.
So what do you think is, because we know right now the dating world, marriage is down. It's just a lot is different now as opposed to it used to be. What do you think is the main problem with the dating world and relationships? Both of you guys.
I'll take it. I personally think that a lot of men are manning. I'm going to be honest with you. This is why the men that are manning will want more of a variety, because they're doing jobs that the average guy are not willing to do anymore. So realistically, I can understand his stance as far as why he's highly pursued or sought after because most guys aren't willing to do it.
Yes.
So again, a woman will say, hey, I'd rather be alone, which to me in most cases is a defense mechanism for her accepting her reality. Because in order for you to accept your reality, you have to keep telling yourself, this is your situation. So for instance, if I keep telling myself, I'd rather be alone, I don't believe that most people genuinely want to die alone. Right. I don't feel so. Yeah. You know, me, I'll sit on the record and say I don't want to die alone.
Right.
You know, because I do believe that as humans, we're made for companionship.
Absolutely.
Some level of companionship to the magnitude where at least socially I can come home and release my energy on.
Yeah, you're sick. Somebody love you. Yeah.
Yes. So when I hear some people say that, I'm like, you know what? Maybe you've accepted that the man or the woman that you want is not looking for you. So that's your way of coping with the situation.
100%.
And that's what I think. That's what most people say. How do you feel about that?
No, I think you're right on. A lot of women, they won't let themselves admit that that's what they want because they don't think it's possible to have it. But again, you know, if we go back to why are we trying to determine? I look at monogamy only as sexual socialism, right?
Yes.
Like we're saying, okay, everybody gets one versus just letting the market figure itself out. If a woman wants to you know, 3 women want to marry this high value man and the man wants to marry them, why wouldn't we let them? Why? I mean, listen, it's legal for me to go out and sleep with as many of them as I want. I can legally do that. I can impregnate them. I can even abort the babies if I want legally. But if I want to commit to 2, to protect and provide, it's now illegal. What kind? You tell me that's not demonic.
That's a very, very valid point. And I'm just being fair. That's a very, very valid point. Listen to what he just said. He said basically he can impregnate, he can sleep with. This is all legal, fair game. But if he chooses to love 2 and he can take care of the 2, why can't he do that? I'm lost. He has a valid point. If you really think about that from a logical stance, right? See, when I talk to anybody, I always remove my emotions or feelings or anything. I hear you out, and you sound very logical. It makes sense.
Thank you.
It makes very much sense.
I've thought a lot about this topic.
Listen, but a lot of times people. So in most cases, let me ask you: do you believe how many women out of 10 would sign up to know that they're going to be the other option?
Well, I think more than you think, because this is what's wild. Okay, the divorce rate under monogamy only is 50%, right?
He's right.
Okay, so women will say, I only want monogamy. I don't want anything but monogamy. That's what, because they've been indoctrinated to believe this, that this is what they should want. And that he wants you and only you. But that 50% divorce rate, 80% of the divorces are filed by the women.
Yes.
Which is wild because so they dream. Who dreams of being married their whole life? Men or women? Women are the ones that dream. Men dream of having sex.
Most women.
Most men dream of getting laid, not necessarily getting married. At some point, we get married because we want to build and all that.
But sometimes I think men that get married is because they feel like that's her end game.
Yeah.
And that's a way of rewarding her.
Yes, she deserves it.
Yes, she's been by me.
Yep.
She supported me.
Yep.
She's loved me.
Yeah.
And this is her end game, so let me give it to her.
Right. But they're the ones that have the fantasy, right? They dream of getting married, but when they finally attain it, 80% of the time they dip. You got to tell them something is wrong with the setup, because and what I believe is women need a certain amount of drama. What they'll call it in Red Pill is competition anxiety. When you remove the competition anxiety, the woman gets bored and she loses interest. She loses sexual interest, and oftentimes she walks out the door. Versus, I believe if you had 2 women working together, women want what other women have. It's when I was promoting, I had many women, and they all knew I had many women, and they wanted me all the more because I was the guy that had all the girls, just like a lion with a pride, like we talked about earlier.
That's right.
Female chimpanzees, it's biology. Female chimpanzees don't want the single male chimps. They want the chimp that has all the women already.
Yes.
This is the way we're wired. So like when you force us into this monogamy only, it's unnatural. Again, nothing wrong with monogamy if you choose it, but it shouldn't be forced upon us, because when it's forced upon us, then you get what we have now. And it removes the possibility, because then the woman, there's no threat of him ever leaving, right? Like he can never bring in another. I can get fat. I can be, I can do what, and they get complacent oftentimes, and they get bored, and then they dip. Now, women will disagree with that, I'm sure, but at the end of the day, I'm like, the numbers don't lie. And you tell me, why is it that way? And they'll say, well, men are just trash now. Well, women aren't what they used to be anymore either.
They're not our grandmothers. They're definitely this nuance of women that you see that's in the dating market. The other day I told a woman she has a Jezebel spirit. She got very mad at me. And I said, I'm gonna say it again. If your father was standing in front of me, I would tell him his daughter has a Jezebel spirit. Yeah. And she said, what do you mean? I said, if I took glazed salmon and I put it in front of a bear, why are you mad at a bear for eating the salmon? I said, you are a female that know that men are very visual and you're half naked every time. She said, well, that don't mean anything. I said, either you're a whore or you like attention. It's one of the two. And I said, you have to just acknowledge the truth and what it is. There is no one that's walking. If a man is running around, his physique is immaculate. He's running around like half naked. He wants attention. Yeah. And so if we can acknowledge that a man is definitely looking for attention, what is our counterparts looking for? She's half naked. You know, the other day I gave a conversation and we was having, and I find it weird. And I want you to hear this, Tyler. It's weird that if a woman goes out with a bathing suit on, it's acceptable. But if a woman goes out with lingerie, she's a whore. I don't understand it. And I've been trying to understand this for a long time because a thong, let's say a thong bikini, isn't the same thing as a thong that she wears under her clothes? It's just different fabric, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
But it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't understand why we see it as a difference.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
It's weird to me.
I'm so not prudish. Like my wife, I post a lot of content, and we've been to multiple.
How does she feel about this?
So our very first conversation was about this topic. I posted a vlog about polygyny, and she DM'd me and said, "Oh, I have a story about that or whatever." And we, right from day one, I said, "This is a possibility that this." This could be in my future. And, there was a time where she wasn't sure that she wanted to marry me. But we prayed every day on the phone before we met and then after we met. But the thing is we got married within 8 months of meeting in person and we waited to have sex until our wedding night. You know why? Polygyny. I would have never done that under monogamy only because you want to sample the merchandise. Again, you're only getting one. So, and then men drag their feet. Do you know anybody that got married within 8 months of meeting their wife? That's fast.
I think it's usually the guys that they're more. I don't want to say this, either traditional,
right?
Very traditional men. I could see
or
doing
no
that.
options.
Or men that have no options.
Right. Yeah.
But in most cases, it's no options. I think he feels like no one is really pursuing him.
Right. Yeah. No, that wasn't the case for me. It just took a lot of the fear out of the decision. Right, and that's what I think.
Our third religious purpose.
Yeah, men stall out in the dating markets because they're afraid. Even in the church, man, you got most of the singles are having sex outside of marriage. This was my world. I know, even the women too. The majority of the Christians and even pastors are getting caught in affairs now. It's really, it's a mess, and it goes back to this false doctrine. But what was your question? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was saying, how do you what? Why is the dating world is what it is? Like, what do you think is the cause of the dating market today and everything that's going on?
I think God gave us 3 doors. He gave us monogamy, he gave us celibacy, and he gave us polygyny. And the church boarded up the 3rd door, and then we kicked a hole in the wall and made a 4th door, which is basically sex outside of marriage. And everybody started running through that. So I think you need to open up the 3rd door, polygyny. It needs to be on the table. So Q, you asked me, what did my wife think of this? So yes. I put it on the table, and I think the majority of men know probably deep down that they would want this if their wife would allow them, but they're afraid to bring it up because they're afraid she'll leave. And that should never be a motivator to not state what you want, because eventually, a lot of guys step out, they cheat.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, look. God, at the very beginning, Adam and Eve, God went to Adam and he said, because you listened to your wife, that's what he said before he pronounced the curse on mankind. We're not supposed to listen to our wives. And I know that's going to be very unpopular for me to say, but look, my wife is my number one advisor. She gives me a great advice and input. At the end of the day, I make the decision though. So if God tells me, Rob, I want you to marry the widow across the street with 3 kids, I'm not going to say, God, let me ask my wife, right? I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say, yes, God. Right, I'm going to do what he tells me to do. My wife knows that this is a possibility. It's a woman's right to choose which man she submits to and she follows. But once she submits to him and she marries him, she's with him. That's it. He makes the decisions for the family. She can give him input, but at the end of the day, she might not like everything I do, but that doesn't give her a right to leave.
Well, what would they call him these days? What would the term be?
You're gonna be a male chauvinistic pig.
A male chauvinistic
I'm sure
pig.
they're gonna call me toxic.
What do you say to a woman who think that, like, okay, if you think this mentality, like you're controlling, you're male chauvinistic, you're narcissistic, like,
We just spoke about this yesterday, and I told them a man is designed to lead. For one, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I would never date or entertain a woman that doesn't understand that submission is mandatory for a healthy relationship.
Yep.
Someone has to submit, and the healthiest relationship is when a woman submits to the man.
100%.
Because when a man submits to a woman, the woman doesn't see him or view him as a man.
She despises
She
him.
despises him. She will always look outside of him. When a man is dating a woman and he submits to the woman, she will naturally never see him as a man.
100%.
But if a woman submits to a man, it's because she views him as a man.
Absolutely.
So reality is, it could never work interchangeable. It's not an interchangeable thing. Either A, the woman views him as a man, so she submits.
Right.
And if you're fighting for that role with a woman, that means she don't view you as the man you think you are. Because a true woman that values you, loves you, and respects you, she's willing to submit.
But the respect thing is kind of earned. So like,
Yes.
a woman is going to, can I cuss or no? You don't
Yeah, you
do it.
can, I don't care.
Okay, shit test,
Yeah.
right? You heard shit test and red pill. And it's part of their evolution or biology is they want to find the most capable man
Yes.
they can that will be a good father and a good husband that's going to be able to weather all the storms of life. And so they're going to shit test you. They're going to create artificial storms to see if they can get you emotional, all mad. Can they actually take the wheel from you? Are you going to let them drive? But deep down, I think a woman knows they are more emotional, and oftentimes their emotions will betray them. So if she can manipulate your decisions with her emotions, then deep down, she resents you because you're supposed to be the logical one, like you talked about.
100%.
If she could, if her emotions take precedent to your logic, she's not going to trust you. And ultimately, she's not even going to want to have sex with you at some point. You show me a man that's in a sexless marriage, and I'll show you a man with weak frame 100% of the time.
You know something I've never seen in my life, and I go on record and say this, I've never seen a man that's a leader allow a woman to lead him. I've never seen it.
Yep.
I've never seen an alpha man choose to be with an alpha woman. It just don't make sense. It goes against nature. Most masculine men like feminine women.
Yes.
And I think there are posers, men that pose as alpha men are masculine men. But in reality, like for me, I'm very attracted to feminine women. I'm more attracted to the woman that'll call the police rather than stand in the middle of the street and fight. And they say, why is that? I'm like, two of us can't be crash outs.
Yes.
Two of us can't be. If your woman's a crash out and you're a crash out, you're in a bad predicament.
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up for guaranteed failure.
Yep.
So, but for me, I want a woman that is more so, you know what? I'm not gonna fight you.
Yeah.
She has a brain when it
Yes.
comes to controlling that moment.
Yes.
Opposed to her getting me more rowdied up.
Yep.
To the point where I'm like, because I'm a protector by nature, right?
Yeah.
And by being a protector, I don't want someone that overly stimulates the situation
Right.
to make it even worse.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
ever met a woman that just can't control herself and then she's very reckless and angry? What I'm seeing now is a lot of women have given their prized possession to a lot of men who considerably weren't worthy, they feel now.
Right.
But at that time, he clearly was worthy because you gave it to him.
100. That's perfect segue. Somebody
Yes.
just left a comment that says,
Yes.
go ahead, say that again.
Yeah, it's true. I think a lot of women are upset with men because they gave their most prize, which is their intimacy, to someone that they deem wasn't worthy.
Yes.
And then a lot of them try to reestablish their value.
Yes.
But and in most cases, men do care about where you've been
Yep.
because we plan on leading.
Yep.
But women care about where we're going.
Right.
And when a man has a vision, a date, and a timestamp to where he's going,
Yeah.
she's more on board.
Yeah, she's going to bet on that.
Yes.
He's a winner.
Yes, yes. And I think the bigger your vision is, the more help you will need.
Absolutely. Somebody said here, there's only one problem to this. You have to be worthy of your wife submitting to you. Well, this is what she misses. You get to choose who you follow. Okay, you didn't have to marry that man, but once you do, you submit. Okay,
Yes.
you didn't have to choose him. You could have been like, nope, he's not strong enough. He didn't have the frame or whatever, the ambition, the vision.
Yes.
And then you choose a man that you can submit to. He doesn't have to be worthy of your submission within the marriage. That's what the dating process is for. If you made a bad choice, that's on you. Okay, now what you said about femininity, like that's what makes a great relationship is polarity. When you have a
Yes.
very masculine man and a very feminine woman, it's like a magnet and metal sticking
Yes.
together. They're going to
Yes.
stick. But this is what monogamy only does. it makes us equals. It's like egalitarianism. It's now the woman is on the same plane as us, and it takes away the polarity. This is why the divorce rate's so high. Polygyny gives us polarity because it automatically pushes a woman into her feminine. It's like, listen, I have the right to, you do not. Okay? This is why they hate it, because it goes back to the curse. God said, your desire will be for your husband, but he will rule over you. So their desire is to rule us, and they try. Okay? And if we let them, they despise us, right? So, but this is what happens. That desire to rule us, once you say no, you pass the shit test enough time, eventually they go into their feminine, and then the desire turns into sexual attraction. It's sexual desire. So that's just why it goes back to what I said. You show me a man in a sexless marriage, I'll show you a man with weak frame 100% of the time. There's no polarity. The woman's in her masculine, the man's in his feminine, at least some. Yes. And this is why, you got a man begging, trying to have sex with their wife, and she's not in the mood, and I got a headache and all this, because dude, that's your fault, bro. It's not her fault. It's your fault.
She don't see me.
If she dated me or a guy like you, she'd want to have sex. I promise you.
Never had that problem. But being fair and honest, but if you think about it, in a sexual encounter, who submits? A woman.
Yes.
So a woman could never take back leadership once she submits to me.
Yeah.
From the day a woman give away her intimacy,
yes,
she already established dominance. Think about this narrative. If I get your most prized possession, which is intimacy, because you have to submit in order for me to have you, right? Men determine relationships, women determine sex. Mm-hmm. And once a woman determines sex, she allows a man to dominate her,
right?
Which is she submitted to him. So a woman automatically is the submitter in a relationship. Yes. So I could never allow a woman to take back leadership once I've taken her as she submitted to me. As if a man is with a man and he submits to another man, he loses his, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, that's the same scenario when it comes to a woman and a guy.
Yep.
Go ahead.
We talked about this the other day. So what do you think about this? So it's a situation when once a woman disrespects you and calls you out her name, do you think you could ever get her back to respect you?
No.
I would say possibly, yeah. I mean, so you allowed the disrespect?
You're saying? Toxic relationship, she's calling you out your name.
I think you can reestablish frame. I think a lot of men don't understand it, though. They don't understand all this. So it's like once you see it, it becomes very clear how all this should work. Like even like we were talking before we went live, and if a woman can get a man emotional and off his game, like a man is supposed to be, I don't know if you've ever heard this analogy, a man is a rock a woman can crash into, right? So like she's going to come to you with all her emotions, and you just got to absorb it. You got to receive it, not get, you're going to take it. She wants to see you not get worried when storms of life hit you.
Yep.
God is your rock to crash into. So I'm not going to go to my wife and be like, oh my God, I don't know what we're going to do. I might do that with God though, because he's my rock. But imagine if God did that with me. Oh my God, Rob, it's so hard. Just the world, I would lose respect for him. Because he's the rock, and I would be like, what the heck? Who am I following? Who's steering this shit, man? So we have to be the rock for our woman, right? And this is what the Bible says. It says the head of every man is God. The head of every woman is man. So think about how many women don't have a man. So they're all headless. They don't have a man to love them, protect them, provide for them, correct them. And they're running around. Nothing is worse for society than a bunch of women that can't find a husband. And that's what monogamy only gives us. Versus just let the most men want it anyway. This is what I was saying earlier, and I didn't finish.
He's right, though.
If a woman walks into a room full of men, she wants to find the best man. Who's the best one here? Who's got the most money, the most status, whatever. She's looking for the best. If a man walks into a room full of women, we'd have sex with them all if we could. Honestly, if nobody would judge us and there would be no negative, we probably would. You know what I mean? Men are wired for variety, and God did that because he knew there would always be an imbalance. There was always going to be more women that needed a husband than there were men who were willing and capable of marriage. So how else could we cover it? How else are we going to cover the imbalance? If men didn't have the desire for variety, how would he get all the women covered? He wouldn't, right? Because we just take one.
I do believe what you're saying is true. And I do believe that if you have 10 men, and we're being fair, if you took 10 men and you sat them in a room, right? And I want you guys to answer this, y'all men. If you took 10 men in a room, out of 10 men, if they could honestly choose, Vivian, they can choose to have more than one woman, and both women will be in cahoots with it, how many men you think will stay with one woman? If every man could choose, how many men you think will stay with one woman?
Right.
I don't think none either.
Yeah.
I think it might be that one, and we always got to there's always an outlier. But for the most part, I think most men would definitely be.
None. I don't think any man.
I don't think so either. I'm trying to give
one.
it some grace, but in reality, I don't think none. So what we're getting at today is I think that do we agree that more men? I don't think they'll be satisfied with just one relationship, because I do believe that when the bigger the man's mission, the bigger his plate becomes,
yes,
and the more he gets. Because men are naturally givers. Masculine energy is about giving.
Yes.
Feminine energy is about receiving. In order for a man to become this great version of himself, he definitely needs more. So, like, for instance, I would say my children motivated me more, right? If I had 10 children, I'd probably be a billionaire.
Yes.
Because of the fact that I know I have mouths to feed. Right. I think a man's mission, I always say this to me, this is my favorite line, I say, if the mission isn't bigger than you, God don't make it big enough for you. And I think he makes it big enough for whatever the mission is for you. And it doesn't make sense in the beginning, but it starts making sense while you're on your treading towards where you have to be. So how do you feel about the men being with one woman? Do you think most men are happy?
No,
like that?
I think you're right. There may be a man out there that would choose just to be with one, because I think initially an uneducated man on this topic thinks, oh my gosh, polygyny, it's his dream, but an uneducated woman thinks, oh my God, that's hell, right?
Yeah.
But then an educated woman goes, this ain't a bad deal, actually. And the educated man goes, this is actually a lot of work. Because
Yes.
look, fornication is easy. That's why even in the church,
Sex
the
is
majority
nothing.
of people are doing it, because it's just an easy way. I mean, I did it. It's easy to have sex with somebody and then not be responsible for them.
Yeah.
But taking responsibility for 3 women, and being there emotionally for them, like, because at the end of the day, if it was just about sex, which is what everybody accuses me of, or everyone of, why would I get married to even one of them? I could have sex with hundreds. That's so much easier. But to marry 3? No, because there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. But the thing is again, when you board up that third door, man, you get a bunch of degeneracy. You get Diddy and you get Jeffrey Epstein, and you get it all coming out in weird, perverted ways, because men still have the desire for variety, whether you like it or not. And you tell them they only get one, they start, getting on OnlyFans and jerking off, and even in the church, they're all watching porn. I saw a study the other day. It was like some ridiculously high number of men who go to church. That's not monogamy, bro. Monogamy is one man, one woman for life. I don't even know anybody monogamous.
I do believe like 2 sides. You have heads and have tails. I do believe that the men that don't have options look for anything they can get.
Yeah, true.
I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Because look, the other day, I'm going to be fair, and this is me talking on record. Someone's going to get offended, but I'm going to be honest. Viv, watch this narrative and tell me if you agree with this. In most cases, most men like very fit women. Most men don't like very unfit women. Now watch this. If you look at that guy that dates a very heavy woman, if you go look at his phone and he watch porn, or he's looking at women, it's always very fit women. Men, we have to be pleased visually before we are sexually. I'm already undressing her visually before it's intimate. Already you looking at her, you're sizing her up. So the other day, one of the guys told me he's attracted to fat women. And he said he's like heavy women. I said, no, I think that's because you feel that's what you can get. He said, I disagree. I said, give me your phone. He gave me his phone. I went in his phone and I went on his Instagram and I clicked his algorithm. The first thing you saw was nothing but fit women. I said, I think you accept fat women because fat women give you the time of day. But in reality, you really lust over what you can't get.
Right.
And if he could get it, he wouldn't be looking at those heavy girls. And I had to tell him that, and he got a little offended. And I said, bro, I'm not disrespecting women, but that's like telling a woman, are you attracted to a broke man?
Right.
It's the same narrative.
It's the same thing.
No, saying a man should be attracted to a woman who doesn't take care of herself is like saying a woman taking a man that doesn't take care of himself financially.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
Yep.
But if you tell them that, would you say men are visual, right?
Yep.
Women are more comfortable with economical beings that are structurally sound. And when I say the foundation don't shift, it's sound.
Well, think about this. How many men do you know that have OnlyFans accounts with women supporting them? I don't know anybody. It's always been men giving security for sex, right? It's always been from the beginning of time. Prostitution is the world's oldest profession, and it's very easily provable. If a woman goes to the gym, what is she most likely to work out?
Her butt.
Her butt. Why? Because
Yes.
of sex. She wants to show, hey, look at this.
Go further.
And what's a man workout? Arms. I can provide. I got,
Yes.
Right?
But go further with that. When a woman put on a pair of pants, the first thing she look at is what?
Her butt.
Her butt.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. That was a very great. Say that point again. I'll cut you off a little bit. I want you to say that point again.
Good. No.
Say that point again.
Well, it's basically sex for security. A woman's the gatekeeper of sex, as you alluded to earlier, and the man is the gatekeeper of commitment or security, because that's why a man proposes. I'd say if and when we get married. You say if and when we have sex for the first time.
Yes.
99.9% of the time. So this is why when women say, "Oh, it's I don't want a man who's been promiscuous either," like it's not the same.
It's
like,
not the same.
For a man to be promiscuous, he had to achieve something, because not every man can be promiscuous. Only a small percentage of men. Any woman can be promiscuous. A woman, even a hideous woman, can walk into a bar every night and take home a different dude.
He's right.
So it's not the same.
He's right.
Right. So
he's right.
Yeah. I mean, and again, it's all around us. It's very easily. You got sugardaddy.com. It's never a man on sugar, unless he's gay, actually, and there's another man supporting, which is possible. Yeah. But it's at the end of the day, it's always been sex for security. Women are the gatekeepers of sex, and men are the gatekeepers of security.
But you know what I feel like? I feel like this conversation, right? And I'm gonna give you a comparison. You ever go to a woman and you try to tell her something about herself? In most cases, what is the first thing she do?
Gets emotional.
She gets emotional.
Yeah.
I think this conversation, most women hearing it, that's what they're gonna get.
Right.
But some people are mature enough to listen. It's like for instance, right? Like right now, if you look at us, we're white guy, black guy. This is what I'm saying. If he voices his opinion, his experience, I'm gonna respect it. Because again, that's his opinion and that's his experience. But most black people, they'll get nervous when a white person says something about black culture. Would you agree? Which is unfair to him because it takes away his experience. But if I tell him how I feel about what I've seen with white culture, I have a right to say my opinion too. Mm-hmm. And it should be tasteful and respectful. But he shouldn't generalize people. But I do agree that most men by far are definitely looking for more than one woman. And this is why most women get cheated on, because they live in a level of denial.
Yep.
I don't think most men are completely satisfied with one woman. Yep. And it's not that she's not a good woman.
No.
It's just that it's like
we love different.
Yes. It's not.
At the end, is it a win when you have multiple women?
It can be, for sure, if you choose right. Think about.
Choosing that one.
Well, if let's say you have more than one, is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So I see now, from what I see when I'm just out and about, a lot of men are single by themselves, older, drinking, having lunch, having dinner by themselves. You know, they might have been that man who has 2, 3, 4, 5 women, but what's the win at the end?
The win is if he actually marries them, right? That would be. This is what I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting any man goes out and spins plates and just sleeps with women, and this is what I hope women that are watching this will understand. Is because I get accused of being a misogynist. I'm advocating for women because the people that suffer the most under this false doctrine are women and children. The women are the ones that are suffering, not so much the men.
That's true.
The women are suffering because they want to be covered, right? And polygyny was God's social welfare system. It was to make sure that every woman that wanted a husband could find one. Monogamy only is man's way of making sure that every man has a wife. It's literally the reverse of what God intended. And that's why there's so much destruction in the world, because we've did this. So again, sexual socialism, everybody only gets one. This is why God gave us polygyny, to make sure that every woman got covered, because they're supposed to have a covering. And this might not be popular, but a woman is supposed to be under a man's authority for her entire life. First, it's her father. And then as a man, I go to her father and I say, I want to marry your daughter. Back in the day, they would pay a bride price, a heavy price. I'd be like, here's $50,000, Dad, I'm going to take your daughter. And that probably made sure that he didn't just divorce her a year later, because that's an investment he made in that woman. He valued, the more they pay, the longer they stay. We used to say in the clubs. So probably divorce-proofed your life a little bit. But the thing is a woman was supposed to be under a man's authority her entire life. So women out there drifting, like young women.
We're drifting because there's a shortage on men who have authority.
Let me say something.
100%.
Somebody said a minute ago, now they're trying to bring God into the equation. And I want to acknowledge something, and I want to say something. The issue I have with a lot of people who are not really into God, who just knows a couple scriptures, they pick and choose what makes sense in the Bible to them. Right. Because I'm going to be honest with you. First off, most women do not know how to submit to men. As soon as you bring up the term submission, most women get very defensive. So automatically, you're not even made to be a wife. Automatically, if I go to a man and I mention the term provider, and you get defensive over the term provider, you're not made to be a husband. Period.
Yeah.
Because reality is the Bible says a man that doesn't work don't eat.
Absolutely.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
So realistically, if a man is not working hard, he is not even designed to be in a relationship.
100%.
But the issue is women see these men, they date these men, and then they believe that they can change these men. And while they're on the term of trying to change these men, in most cases, they're going to fail. Because a man shouldn't need direction. He should be guided with God knowing where he is.
Yep.
He should know where he's going with his life. He should be focused. And if he hasn't reached his pinnacles of success, at least he's pursuing.
Yes.
When a man is on his journey, that's a very focused man. But when a man is focused as women, he tends to never become successful.
Absolutely.
And he's always broke. Every man I've ever met that chased sex, like he said earlier, and I love that you said that. You said pleasure was your God.
Right.
And I do believe that most men, when we're not on our mission,
Yep.
tell us pleasure was my God also.
You can go back to pleasure. Yeah.
Yes, and I've noticed now it's weird because if I haven't even hit certain pinnacles as far as my achievements, I don't even want sex. I don't even want sex because I feel like it releases dopamines that are faulty and false.
Yeah.
I reward myself when I feel like I've done something.
Right.
But in most cases, a lot of men are rewarding themselves with sex, and the women are giving themselves to men that aren't worthy.
Yep.
And then when you give yourself to that man, most men won't subscribe to you now, especially the kind of man that they want. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you have a baby with a guy who is considerably low value, in most cases, you can't take that blemish away.
No.
Right? So therefore, if a man do see you, you're gonna have to be extremely in line to where his vision is.
Valuable.
You have to be extremely valuable.
Yeah.
For that man to see you.
Right.
Because I don't see a man say, hey, I want a woman that has 2 baby daddies and both of them are in and out of jail. I don't
Right.
know no man that subscribed to
Right.
that is successful.
She didn't value herself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but if you say that, a lot of women tend to take this as you're insulting them, you're disrespectful. I'm like, first off, if you're gonna have an adult conversation, you have to put on your adult ears. If you're gonna have an adult conversation, we gotta put on our adult ears. When you came, I put on my adult ears because I said, I don't wanna make it about my feelings. This is logical. A lot of things he said aligns with logic. There's a lot of logic behind what you're saying. So again, for those who are on live right now who are getting defensive, it's because you either A, very single, very single too, very alone, and on top of it, your misery is coming out in your verbiage and your words. When you are grown, you should be able to sit there and say, listen, you want a high-value man. A high-value man is not going to get on your program, women. Let's establish that. A high-value man does not get on a woman's program. That is low-value vibration automatically that gets on a woman's levels.
100%.
Even a man that comes down to your level to argue with you and scream and yell with you, he is a very low-value man. Strong men like us, we're very confident. We stand firm with what we say. And we stand behind what we say. And whatever consequence comes from it, we're willing to tolerate and deal with it. Real men don't run when the ship is sinking. We throw the water out over the boat. Yeah. Let me say that again. Real men don't run when the ship is sinking. We take the water and we start throwing it overboard. That's what real men do. So for those women that want those men, they have to understand it comes with certain things. Just the same way the lifestyle that these women want from these guys, it comes with certain things also.
Yeah. No, you had talked about a man on his mission, and I think many men don't know their mission, and then the
100%.
woman becomes the mission, and then she hates him for it deep down. She doesn't want to be his mission. She wants you. She wants to support you. This is what John. I think it's John Etheridge. He said a woman wants to play an irreplaceable part in a great adventure.
Yes.
So as a man, it's your responsibility to give her that great adventure. What adventure am I taking you on? So you better know your mission and be able to convey that to any woman that you're considering. And then she goes, "Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I'd like to go there." And then she signs up for it, but she can't be the mission.
No.
Right. But oftentimes, men don't know, and like this is what I believe too. Purpose before person. I think going back to Adam and Eve, you get your purpose first. The person comes along later, but it takes time. You have to wait for that person,
Yes.
right? Because you got to figure out the purpose. We don't want to wait. So what happens oftentimes is we get the person before the purpose, and then we never realize the purpose. Yeah, we get the person. We don't want to wait, so we get the person, and then we don't. I think it may have something to do with sex transmutation, which is a concept from Think and Grow Rich. You can harness your sexual energy. So like back to what you're saying, when you're not succeeding, you're not even having sex, you harness your sexual energy and you use it to drive you towards your purpose. And then once you figure out what it is and you start getting after it, then you find your person to come alongside of you and help you. That's the right order.
Yes.
But to what you said about the imbalance, I made a video about this the other day where I did like a quick Google search and I found that in all these different European countries, Latvia was like the worst. I think it had like 86 men to every 100 women. But across the board, it was something like 90, 95 men to every 100 women. So there's automatically an imbalance. But then you start taking into consideration things like men are incarcerated at a higher rate. We are addicted to drugs at a higher rate. Homosexuals. We are just selfish. We're lazy, right? So you get this huge imbalance where you're like, okay, there's probably about maybe 30 good men for every 100 women that are actually really could provide and protect for a woman well. So now you got this huge imbalance under monogamy only, which is why women will sign up for the beta man because they got their heart broken by the man that they really wanted. He broke their heart, so which is why they get defensive when they hear a man talk like us. Because, but versus I'm not saying a man should mistreat a woman. I'm saying no, you should man up and protect and provide for more than one if you have the means to do so. If you want to, take on other women, but men will oftentimes, again, do it the degenerate way, where they'll just lie, and it's the easy way.
Yes.
And it's the scummy way, you know, versus just having the conversation. Now, again, I suggest you do that before you get married because you don't want to spring it on a woman that didn't sign up for it. So you made vows to forsake all others, and then all of a sudden you hear me talking, and you're like, hold on a second, honey, I think I should bring on another wife. Yeah, do not blow up your family. That's not what I'm suggesting. God hates divorce. I do not want to be responsible for divorce. But at the end of the day, a woman shouldn't be the dick. She shouldn't be the one that can veto. If God tells, veto that decision. If God tells you to, you have peace about it. A woman shouldn't be the one to say no, right? Like the man is the head, and people often say, women will say, or many men will say, I run the relationship. The easiest way to find that out is just bring up the topic of polygyny. Hey, I was thinking about taking on another wife, honey. You'll find out real quick who runs that relationship. Like the one be like, oh hell no, you're not. Like, then you're gonna find out who's running the relationship.
But look at the sex scandals. You see so many sex scandals right now, and people that are successful. So many.
Yeah.
Because most people aren't satisfied in their home, and I will say this, and this is from my opinion. I think men, when we get women, we get comfortable with what we did to get them, that we stop doing it. Yeah. And then I do believe that women, even if a man upgrades her life, she get comfortable with what you do for her as if she always had it. I think both parties get comfortable, but there's different comfortables. For instance, I'm comfortable with, say, if I took my girl out to eat all the time, I took on trips, I wowed her. And then I got her, I might have got comfortable to the point where I stopped doing those things. Right. But if I took a woman, I elevate her life, she starts getting in her mind that she's always had it like this. So therefore, she stops appreciating you and take it as a normality because this is what you're supposed to do. I think it comes down to humans appreciating everything that someone else do for them. A lot of people get very comfortable to the point where they stop appreciating things that others do for them. Like, I'm not gonna be unappreciative if my woman sees, let's say she's always washing my clothes. I promise, man, I vow to myself that I'm not gonna take it for granted that she does it. I think a lot of times people look at things like, I'm so used to it, I'm comfortable with it. And I think that's what we got to get out of that mentality where you don't appreciate what you have. I do believe that. The other day, I'm going to give you a story real fast. There was a lady, and we were talking about aging and the value changing. And she said, the same way you can get a young girl, I can get a young guy. And I said, you can, but you're going to get, in most cases, more men that are looking to be taken care of. You can find more women who date up because of their levels of maturity than you'll find more men who date up because of their levels of maturity. Most men that date up is because they're looking for a mom. There are more women who date up, and this has been since the beginning of time. Women always dated up because of the maturity of men. He's more secure, he's more financially stable, he can give me comfort, protection, everything that it entails for a woman to be comfortable, he can provide it. So therefore, a lot of women subscribe to older men for different reasons. For when younger men subscribe to older women, he's gonna be driving her car. Right. He's gonna be like baby boy. Right. He's gonna be like her.
She called it Jody.
Yeah, he's gonna be Jody, bro. 304s and Jodys, right?
Yeah, I was thinking. I was just listening to a book. I'm listening to it about halfway through it. It's called The Value of Others by Ryan Taraban, Psych Hacks. He runs a pretty big YouTube channel, and he talks about when you're in a relationship for an extended period of time, it's called habituation. Okay. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the Coolidge effect, which the Coolidge effect goes back to the President Coolidge. Supposedly there was a story where him and his wife went out and visited a farm, and his wife saw the rooster mating with the hens, and she said, well, to the farmer, how often does he do that? Oh, he does it all day long. Yes. She's like, well, make sure you tell the president about that. So she tells the president, the farmer tells the president, and the president goes, well, is he doing it with the same hen? No, he does it. He's got to run to the roost. He does it with them all. He says, well, make sure you tell Mrs. Coolidge that. The thing is because, again, men are desired for variety. And why did God do that? Because we get into a relationship with, our angel. We love her. But at some point, the excitement isn't there of the sex the way it used to be, at least, right? The frequency 100%. Goes down. But you see that new one, and there's nothing like it the first few times. It's exciting. You never, been with this.
It's a conquered thing.
Right, but why? But if you did it, why did God do that? Because sex meant marriage in the Bible. So, yeah, you see this new one, and you want to, impress upon her. You want to sleep with her, but now she's your wife. And that's going to require more work. It's almost like women with childbearing. Yes. Because even a woman knows that, look, I'm going to have a baby. It's going to be sleepless nights. It's going to be a lot of work. It's, emotional, whatever. They might get in trouble. And it's a lot of work, right, to have kids. But we still want to do it. Yeah. Because that's the way God. So this is why God gave men the desire for variety, because he wanted us to reproduce. So, yeah, we want to have sex with that new one. But guess what now, bro? She's your wife. You got to take care of her. So, like, if we did it God's way, which is what I'm advocating,
yes,
right?
Yes.
If we did it God's way.
So if you take right now, if more women would subscribe to what you're saying, you think more people would be happier?
Oh my gosh, yeah. The divorce rate.
What if she feels like she needs another man though?
No, hell no. The Bible's very clear about that. No, look, that doesn't even work for paternity. So imagine if a woman's having sex with different men, you don't even know who impregnated her, right? You don't know if you're the father. Versus a man that has you know who the father is. It's you. Right? Like, so it doesn't work across the board, but the Bible is also very clear. It's mixing seeds. That's what they talk about, mixing seeds.
I want to hear what you guys say about that. Give it to what you guys say about that.
I'm just saying, here we go. It don't work across the board. But it's good for you. It's not good for us.
So you think a woman should be able to be promiscuous like a man should be able to?
She shouldn't be, but I'm just saying.
Well, let me take that back. Not promiscuous. The term, we're not talking about promiscuous. He's saying that if you're going to be exclusive with a woman, right, therefore, you marry her, you take her as your wife.
But he's saying multiple variety. He said God has
more than one wife.
Yeah.
More than one wife. A woman can have
more than one husband.
Because
but most men wouldn't want to do that.
Listen, how many gods can you have?
One.
One God. How many people can God love? As many as he wants.
Many.
I don't have the right to go to God and say, no, God, you can only love me.
Right.
And if he actually said, okay, Rob, I'll do that, I'd lose respect for him. He's God, and I'm just grateful he loves me and he covers me. It's the same thing. It's a perfect picture of our relationship with God. Again, why are we called the bride of Christ? Why are we the bride? We are the bride. Like, again, I have to be exclusive to God. I can't have no other gods before him. But he's not exclusive to me. I can't demand
you're saying
him.
God originally was okay with man having more than one wife.
100%. Moses had more than one wife, and he wrote the law.
Do you believe that's true?
That is true.
But do you think that more men and women will be in a better... Okay, right now, do you see financially, most women are signing up for the men that are considerably the alpha men?
Yes.
You think a man that is stable, secure, and financially all across the board and hit the criteria of a woman being comfortable, you think he's going to be faithful?
He might not be, but he can be.
How many alpha men are out there, percentage-wise?
I don't know.
What do you say?
Just rough,
out of
ballpark.
5.
Say 5?
No, you think half of men are alpha?
Yeah, because
half.
Okay,
some of them are a lot. It's a lot of sissies out there.
So you think half?
I think that's a high number.
I think it's lower than half.
Oh, I
think it's like 2 or 3.
I think maybe 2 or 3.
Okay,
I'll give it 2 or 3.
So I was trying to be nice. I agree.
I think
2 or 3.
You see 2 or 3, but I think, excuse me, sorry to cut you off, but I think 2 pose. They pretend. Yeah. I think like 5 of them, they know who they are.
Yeah.
2 of them act like they're more masculine than they are.
Yeah.
1 is a tweener, but the other 2, he's a tweener. He picks and chooses. He got the potential. He's there, but he's not all the way there.
Right.
And the last guy, he's 100% there. The 2, they're there. They're legit.
Someone says God says marriage is between one woman and one man. Yeah. Can't pick and choose.
Well, let's address that in a second, but I want to go back to you. So would you rather share a high-value man or have a faithful beta all to yourself?
What would you want?
Would you have a weak man all to yourself?
Forever.
Or would you rather share a high-value man, an alpha?
I'm not sharing. I don't like to share.
But what would you do?
I'm sorry.
So you would choose.
So you gonna take the beta?
You would choose the beta.
I've done it.
And you know the sad part? You're going to disrespect him every
And
chance you get.
I've been guilty of it, not because it's just
You're just not going to respect
I
him.
got caught.
Don't lie to yourself. You're not going to respect him.
Right. It'd be better
I'm
to
not
share the high
sharing.
value.
I want high value.
Someone said I'm a
and
share.
I'm not sharing.
Someone said, I'm going to share. She went straight to it. I'm going to share.
This is what I think women don't
Tyler, give
realize
me the phone call
is
number.
men and women don't love the same way. Women love through sexual exclusivity.
Tyler, 5 times to give me the
Men
number.
love women through provision and
No,
protection.
give me the number, Tyler.
You understand what I'm
Women
saying?
love through
No, give me the
protection
box.
But women don't protect us. A woman shows me that she loves
respect
me
that.
through sexual exclusivity. That's what I expect.
That's not enough.
I'm not saying no, it's not enough, but that is, if you boil it all the way down, it's sexual exclusivity, and the way I show you love is not sexual exclusivity.
Yeah.
This is why women, they don't value virgin men. You all
No.
don't.
No.
We value virgin women.
Yes, we do.
But y'all don't even want a man that's a virgin. You want a man that's experienced. Why is that?
Because the man, the virgin man, is kind of corny.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Can you
But it
give me
goes
2
back to what I'm
It's one
saying.
hit. One hit.
So somebody said, hold on.
One hit.
No,
Somebody said a man is capable of loving multiple women at the same time. Women are only capable of loving one man at a time. I believe that's true. You know,
What's our level?
if you're with a strong
What's up?
man that does everything for you, you honestly don't even want
There's
it.
one
You're not
you-
even looking at other men. Most women that I dated, and it sounds cocky, they didn't even look at other guys. They didn't want anybody else. I still wanted other women, but I thought I had to do monogamy, so I'd throw them back. I'd break up with them and break their heart, and it would break my heart too because I
Yeah.
bought into this lie. The person that talks about God, though. Yes, every marriage is between one man and one woman, but what you can't show me, what scripture never says, is that a man is only limited to one union. It never says that. Yes, every marriage is one man, one woman, but you can have multiple one man, one woman unions. So again, that's adding to God's word, and you shouldn't do that. That's actually sin.
What do you feel about that, Viv?
I agree. What he just said?
Yeah.
I do agree what he just
So,
said.
but you still didn't answer that question.
What?
Could you be with a straight simp man? We talking about you know that he's not going to provide for you. Let me ask you a question.
can't,
First of all,
no.
let me ask you a question. Have you ever been with a man that made you feel so safe that you had no real worries?
No.
But if you have, we're talking about the
No.
man we're talking about is the
But
man that
it's-
gives you that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're safe.
But
you're
I gotta
protected.
share?
You have to share.
No,
What'd you do?
it's not gonna happen. He's gonna want me and only
No,
me.
but I'm asking you. That's not. In most cases, it's not. I don't know none. I'm being honest with you.
It can happen. It definitely can happen.
It could. People hit the lotto too. They do. I wouldn't make it my retirement plan.
I
either,
wouldn't
but-
make that a retirement plan either. But I'm just saying, in most cases, I do believe that the men that a lot of women want, they're very, very, very exclusive. And the exclusive aspects of them give them variety.
Yes.
But
Would you
Which is
agree?
why it's such a
define
big ask.
exclusivity.
Exclusive is, okay, I'll give you a scenario.
Exclusivity.
If you're rich, you get to pick what house you want to live in, right?
Okay, yes.
So the same thing is that exclusive man who gets to pick which house he wants to live in. He gets to pick which woman he wants to sleep with. So
get it.
therefore, if a man like that has the options,
It's a big ask.
yes,
Huge ask.
that's a lot to ask
To
for
sign
him.
up for one when this is why the marriage rates are so low, because women like yourself are still holding out. They want the high value man and they want monogamy, and the men are like, why would I sign up for one?
I don't necessarily
I bet-
want
I bet-
a high value man to start off with. I want someone I could build with, honestly.
But I think what makes him high value is everything the way he makes you feel, the way that you just
True.
described it. That would make him
True.
high value.
True.
You know, you probably want him to have some stuff going on. Maybe he's got a business. You know, maybe he looks a certain way.
I think you'll forgive him. If a man genuinely gave you what you never had before, it was such a unicorn to what you've experienced thus far, you would definitely stay with it.
I'm sure I would forgive him. I forgave the low.
That's what kills me, because it's like a lot of women, they say things like, I wouldn't want to be with a guy that cheats. But yet and still they get cheated on by the guy that's a bum. So
Right,
might
right.
as
Right.
well.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
at least
right.
he's being
The bum's gonna
honest.
cheat.
No, he's right.
At least he's being honest. That's
Yeah.
just what I told my wife when I married. Before we got married, I said, "Look, I'm never going to divorce you, and I'm never going to cheat on you." You know what man can actually promise that and deliver on it? I will. The only way I'd ever divorce her if she's unfaithful to me, that would be the only reason I'd ever leave her. But how often do people leave their wives under monogamy only? All the time. They fall in love with somebody else and they leave their kids and their family. They blow up their family and they run off with the younger girl. Again, that's not the way it was supposed to be. No, if you get married, you're married for life.
I'll be a sharing
Right?
Karen.
Sharing is caring. Yeah.
No, she said I'll be a.
Oh,
I'll be
sharing,
a
sharing.
Someone said,
Karen.
I don't mind sharing if he knows how to differentiate between us. And what I'm trying to explain is this, and this is what a lot of women don't understand. believe you me, and I can't see the name, but there are a lot of people, women, who have careers, they have their life together, and they're willing to subscribe to that. But the issue is this: I truly doubt that a man would take you and respect you to the same magnitude of what he respected you if you stepped out.
No.
No.
Because you know why?
Yeah.
Because men naturally, when we view something and it becomes ours,
Yeah.
we only view it as ours.
It's ours.
Yes, but would you say women are more forgiving when it comes to cheating?
Yes.
Of course.
Men aren't, because we're not designed like that.
It doesn't mean the same things either, because again, you know that a man could have sex and it means nothing to him. It's like getting an oil change on my car. I mean, literally, I've had
but
sex.
you have to enter into that female. And
Yeah, but it doesn't mean I was emotionally attached to the woman. No, a woman a woman to have sex with a man, she's got to have something emotional going on there.
Yeah.
And she's also got to be very displeased with her man. I could be, there were times where I had girlfriends that I was very happy with. I still wanted to have some casual sex with girls on the side. Again, I'm not saying that's right. That's not what I'm talking about here. But it's not the same thing. A woman has to be almost checked out of her relationship in order to have sex with another man.
That's true. Very true.
And if she does, in most cases, the guy that conquered her, knowing that she was already conquered by somebody else, is not going to be playing his flag there permanently.
Nope.
As fast as he got the intimacy, as fast as he'll be willing to remove himself. In most cases, when a woman meets a guy and he conquers her, in most cases, women want that relationship. They want to be with him exclusively.
100%.
But most guys that sleep with you, if you slept with 10 guys, I would say all in, 8 of them just wanted sex.
Right.
8 of them just wanted sex. And 2 of them, or 1 of them, could have grew into a relationship because they probably caught some feelings and started liking you. But most men do not meet a woman from day one and say, hey, I want to be with you for the rest of my life.
Right.
When they're looking for sex.
Absolutely.
I never met that guy.
I got into I did this debate with Andrew Wilson, and the topic was, can polygamy save Western society, or save Western society, I think was the topic. And he was arguing that the reason that the marriage rates are in the toilet was because women have been sold feminism and that they should pursue their careers and not have babies until later. And look, that may be somewhat true, but I'm like, now listen, if a woman is sleeping with a man, especially if it's consistently, 9 times out of 10, she wants to marry that dude.
100%.
But he's not committing because he's got so many options.
He has options.
Because of monogamy only. Goes back to that. It's like the reason that the marriage rates are low isn't because the women. I hung out with those guys that were getting all the women, and the girls they were sleeping with, they were always holding out for the commitment. They were always hoping that the guy, they were going to tire him out, and he was going to.
I'm going to take some phone calls.
Sure.
I'm going to let you guys call in right now because I know y'all talking crazy on the live. So I'm going to let you guys call in right now. 516-253-1150. One more time. 516-253-1150. If you guys have a comment, I'm giving you the platform right now to definitely express how you feel about what we're saying. 516-253-1150. But again, sometimes the people that are on live saying that they've never dated a high value person. They can say whatever they want, and then sometimes you meet their child father, and I'm like, he's not a high value man. So it's easy to say what you wouldn't do because you've never been offered the opportunity. It's easy to say that I don't eat steak if I've never had to given steak. It's easy to say what you wouldn't do. Everyone says they're this person until they actually are given a certain circumstance. Yeah. You think a person, let's just use a scenario of a street scenario. You think a person that said, I'm going to snitch if something happened? They thought they were going to I'm going to hold it down. And as soon as the consequences came, you know what? It was him.
Do the time.
Do the time. You see, but I'm just being logical. But it's always the people that never had those opportunities. You telling me this guy has his own home, he has his own finances, he has everything. Most of these women that are giving these comments have men that moved into their place.
Right.
They have men that drive their cars. They have men that borrow their money. When you listen to these women describe these men, I'm like, I've never done that crap. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I bring a woman to my master suite. I don't go to a woman's master bedroom.
Right.
It's just weird.
Yep.
And notice the word I said, sweet. You know what I'm saying? But someone call in right now, 516-253-1150. I know somebody got something to say. Come get it off your chest with us, 516-253-1150. So what do you feel like right now, what is the reason that's hindering a woman from ever even accepting something like this?
I think it's pride. I think they've been indoctrinated by Disney to want Prince Charming when they should be praying for King David. Right? King David was a man after God's own heart, and he had, multiple wives that he took care of. I want to say one thing, because you were talking and kind of brought this to mind, is I think women crave security more than they do exclusivity. They think they want exclusivity, but really deep down they want security. So when I go to my wife and I said, look, you talk about what a man that has got his own house and he's got all, and imagine if he says, listen, I know this isn't probably what you dreamed of, maybe what you've been taught, but I want you to understand I'm never going to divorce you and I'm never going to cheat on you. If I bring in another wife to my relationship, I'm going to introduce her to my wife at some point, and I'm going to see if they get along. Me and my wife are going to pray about it. We're going to fast. I'm going to make a very slow, educated decision because I don't want chaos in my home. I want to see if they get along. Can they be best friends? Does she complement what we got going on for our vision? It's not a side chick. It's not a mistress. This is a lifelong commitment to a person, and I'm going to make it very carefully. And she's going to add to everything that we're doing. That's a hell of a lot of security for a woman, and that's something that most men will promise you monogamy and then they'll cheat anyway. So you'll even get the beta. Right. You'll get the beta man actually cheat on you. Even you say you won't share a high value.
Hold on, caller.
Go ahead. Sorry,
caller. What's going on, caller?
Yes, sir. I'm going to admit I did everything wrong the first time.
I'm listening.
But the happiest part, about a year ago, I started examining polygyny.
Okay.
Came to the conclusion that you guys are right. And I started just kind of looking around to see what was going on. I wasn't going to be serious about it. And I idiotically started talking to a woman and didn't walk away before it turned serious without communicating properly with my wife.
Yes.
Not asking permission, but letting her know that this is what was happening.
You told your wife that.
Once I realized it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Once I realized this was actually going to be serious, I explained to her what was happening and where we were. We discussed it in passing.
Okay.
Now, that was the happiest my wife had ever been in our marriage. That was the best intimacy we had in our marriage.
I'm telling you.
And the only reason I ended up calling it off is because the other woman started sowing chaos.
Yeah.
And I'm not bringing chaos into my home.
Yeah. That's such an interesting point. I had KGB, who used to be a Green Bay Packer. Do you know?
Okay. Yeah.
So he's got 2 wives, and he said he was telling me how great his first wife was, but he married this woman that was a widow. She was taking care of his father. She had 2 kids, and basically just felt like God was leading him to marry. He said, now, when I married that second one, he said, do you think my first wife, as good as she was of a wife, do you think she became better or worse? I was like, I don't know.
Competitive.
Better.
Competitive.
She became better.
Yes.
She became a better wife. He said, listen, when I was playing in the NFL, would I have loved it if my coaches would have came up to me and said, listen, KGB, you got the starting role. Nobody's coming for your spot. Don't even worry about it. You're going to start every week. Don't even worry. He said, I would have loved that. But would I have been my best?
No.
Hell no. Competition. He needed the competition in order to push him to become the best man that he could, the best player that he could. Women need the same thing. And they need,
get comfortable.
Again, look at what this guy just said. That's the happiest his wife ever was. The best sex they ever had, right? It was because the other woman. Yeah, the other woman came in the picture. Women want what other women want what other women have. Okay, so that showed her I'm desired. Other women want me, and that actually kind of turned her on a little bit, apparently.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree. Cole, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. That was good. We're going to call. Give me another caller. Someone else call in. We want to get a few of y'all in before we get out of here today. 516-253-1150. That was actually good. I agree with a lot of things he's saying because I do believe that the men that I'm meeting, is either A, you can know the truth, or B, living a lie. And a lot of these guys, I'm being honest with you, Viv, all these high value men that women can, remember who creates high value? Women. We don't create our value. We have to earn our value. Based on the what a woman believes is high value is why we're considerably high value. I don't sit on this podcast and say, hey, I'm high value. Based on what women say is high value, I meet the criteria. So if I put in my resume to get a stamp of approval for high value, I think I check off based on what they want. So realistically, I understand the men that I think are also high value. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't know none of them to be faithful. I don't know none of them. I don't know none of them. And what it is I think that it's not in them. And the one thing I do agree with him, when there's competitiveness, the other day I had to have a conversation with a couple, and I spoke to the man first, Viv, and afterwards, I spoke to both of them. In the midst of her talking about how you don't do this, how you don't do that, I said, I'm gonna keep it real with you. You did one of the biggest faulty sign-ups that he could have ever had. She said, what is that? I said, when you first met him, you used to sleep with him in the bushes, in the trees, everywhere. I said, after you got him, he has to beg you for sex. So realistically, he thought he was signing up for the freak of the week, and he realized he was not. I said, so realistically, you have to be mindful that you're not who you presented yourself as either. And then she thought about it. I said, when he met you, didn't y'all used to have sex in the car? She got quiet. I said, didn't y'all? Remember, I said, let's go even further. He told me about the time y'all had sex when y'all was picking your daughter up at college, y'all went and snuck a quickie in the bathroom at the college. And she was looking at me, she was like, but that's why I said now he has to basically, but I do believe that society and social media has created this mentality where people they have so many options, which is not true. I think a lot of people go back into the dating world and realize that it's not sitting there waiting for you. It's moving while you're losing value.
Yes.
There's actually been a study that came out. They said sex is at an all-time low.
It is.
Since after the pandemic. So before the pandemic, numbers were high, but now everything's at an all-time low.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? I tell you why I think that is.
I think it's like that because I think the answer might be what Rob is saying. Possibly. Could be.
I think Rob is right.
I don't know.
I think he's right. But I do feel this way, and I'm going to be honest and fair. I think every person is not designed to do what he say.
I agree.
So the people that aren't, what don't apply, we let fly. Because what is not for you is not for you, right? I don't eat pork. But I'm not going to knock you for eating it, and I'm not going to force the fact that I don't eat it on you.
Yeah.
I might say yuck once, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Tyler, you eat your pork, yuck. I might say it once, but again, I don't eat pork. But I'm not going to force my way of living onto you. I can maybe try to persuade you and tell you why I don't eat it, but I'm not going to force it. Right? What would you say right now in this society, Rob, is what would you say other than pride and ego, why do you think most men want multiple women?
I just think it's the way that God wired us. I mean, it goes back to reproduction. I mean, how many babies can a woman make a year? One? How many babies can a man make a year? I think biology leaves clues. If you just look at biology, like God made it very clear. Like if I had 10 wives, I can impregnate them all at the same time, or 100 wives, right? I can make babies far later in life than a woman, right? Again, why did God? If monogamy was His desire, if His will for us, why would there be differences in our reproductive abilities, right?
But we do got to emphasize, Rob, on the fact that the one thing he's also saying, and I want the men that are hearing this, who are believing that they should go subscribe to polygamy, or make sure your life is together.
Yes.
Don't be the guy out here trying to find two women to pay all your bills and live up under her roof. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it. I think I understand both aspects. I can understand why a woman would exclusively want something for them. Because in most cases, I'm going to say this on record, I do believe that most people in this culture are very narcissistic. And this is what I've come to the conclusion of, whether talking to men or women. I think that most people have a mentality of what can you do for me opposed to what we can do for each other. I think once you have that mentality of what someone can do for you and you're not looking at what you can do for the relationship, you shouldn't even be in a relationship because you have a very self-centered mind. I think the greatest relationships are ones that have a mentality of togetherness, unity, teamwork, right? I don't complain about a bill, especially when I know I have the resources to accommodate it, right? I've never fought with my woman about bills. I don't, because it's not because we make so much money, but it's more so because I know that's my role.
It's your role, yeah.
Like, Vivian, women are emotional. So I don't complain about women being emotional. But the one thing I do complain about, a woman learning how to control her mouth. The same way I have to control my hands, a woman has to know how to control her mouth. Because my first level of defense is my hands. A woman's first level of defense is her mouth. So if a woman can't control her mouth, she has a problem. If a man can't control his hands, he has a problem.
I believe many women can control their mouth. They usually don't get to that point until some type of hurt has happened.
It still doesn't matter.
Even though it
You
doesn't
coulda hurt
make it
me.
an excuse. But, you know, usually I've been there from experience. I'm the sweetest person. But if you disrespect me or take advantage of me or mistreat me, then there is another level of speaking that comes out that is disrespectful.
I bet you don't know, most men in relationships, the only person that can hurt a man is someone he loves. His weakness is the person he loves. A man's child can hurt him, a man's mother, a man's father, and the woman he chooses to take in can hurt him, especially vocally, verbally, and with words. If you are a father that killed yourself all your life for your family and your child look at you and say, you've done nothing for me, you just stab that man in his heart to another level. He may not show it, but he's hurt deep. He's hurt deep because a lot of times when we do things, we do it with a level of discernment where we're like, yo, I'm willing to give all. Men, masculine energy is about giving, as I said earlier.
So I guess I didn't date masculine men.
No, because we give. And I'm going to be honest with you.
Much.
Watch this. Would you say back in the days?
Married.
No,
I was married.
Our grandparents the men put the check on the table, right? That's masculine energy. We willing to give all our resources to accommodate our
So
families.
I guess I didn't marry masculine energy. Hopefully
One
he's
more
not
time. One more
listening
time.
to this.
I was going to say, when you were talking about, you know, put the check on the table and we never argue about money, like, think about how many men would be left out of the sexual marketplace if polygyny was accepted, because the men that were acted like Q, that took care of the bills and took care, the women would naturally be drawn to them and they would get all the women, and men would see that.
Yes.
And they would realize, I have to be a man like that in order to have sex.
Yep.
And that would change the quality of men. The reason that men are trash is, I believe, a large part goes back to monogamy only, because men that really don't deserve a wife are getting some.
Yes.
And they don't deserve to have a
Yes.
wife. Only
Yes.
the men that could be like he just described should have a wife. They should know their mission.
That's
They
right.
should be after it. They should be able to have some resources
They know all the time.
and be masculine. And then they would naturally have more women.
You ever
And
see that movie, the Chicago movie, where the women stopped having sex? With the men and the violence and crime went down? They stopped. They said they weren't going to have. It's a movie. It's like a play. It's called Chicago.
yeah. With
The
Richard
Shah.
Gere.
The
Yeah.
Shah. So it's basically saying that when the women said, we're not sleeping with y'all no more if y'all keep doing any crimes, the men stopped committing crimes.
Right.
Women do have more value when it comes to that than they think they do.
Oh, yeah. They wield a lot of power.
They have a lot of power when it comes to that. But the fact of the matter is they give it away so worthlessly that a man of value don't value the woman that gave it to a worthless guy. Like, for instance, don't be surprised if, I'm not going to say the celebrity name, she's about to have a baby by another celebrity while she was still married.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if that guy and her don't work out. Because a lot of times we may pee in a corner that another dog peed in, but we don't stay in those corners. I may pee in that corner because I have to use the restroom. So that's an orgasm for him. But it doesn't mean he's going to lay where that he peed at.
Right.
That's just reality. If he peed in that corner, you're more inclined to lay where you peed at, right? But if you had to, you'll lay in your corner.
Right.
I'll lay on my pee, but I'm not going to lay on somebody else's pee. Would you agree? No. Would you agree with that? But I'm just saying now, we just have to acknowledge that men and women are really wired different, and we have to accept that we're not wired the same, and we won't think the same. And I think the moment a man learns how to understand, I don't think we can fully understand you guys, but we can learn to understand you by respecting your opinions and hearing you out. But I think sometimes, I don't like when women say this defense, I'd rather die alone. And it's sad because you're going to meet a lot of women who are going to have a lot of accomplishments, not looking at reality of life and saying, this is a harsh reality that goes on every day.
Yeah. And that's
especially if they want the high value route.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like, you know, is it Vivian?
Yes.
She mentioned you know, you want the high value man and you want monogamy only, but if you really realized what the odds are of you finding that.
But what is high value men? Because I'm not.
You say it.
You determine.
Y'all determine it.
Yeah.
Would you say, okay,
you don't
would-
have to have the big house and the
No,
nice car.
but
and
watch
all.
this.
But
If he moves into your place, Vivi, I know you, 99.9% sure you're not going to respect him. And most women, I'm going to be honest with what Rob said earlier, this is 100% fact. When we tell the truth, a lot of times y'all don't tell the truth about what y'all really will respect if y'all dated. You'll say something like, oh, if he had to borrow my car, it'd be okay because it's ours. You don't mean that. You don't mean it. right? And I'm being fair. If Rob said it, oh, my wife could drive my car without, he means that. Yeah. Rob says a woman can move into my place. He means that. And he's going to make her feel comfortable. Most men buy the house and we let the woman decorate the house so she can put her feeling to comfort in that place, right? And that's just reality. But in most cases, women, they lie to themselves. They say, I can date a man that don't make a lot of money. Then they do it, and then they emasculate him.
Right.
So really the problem is the woman that's accepting the man that she really know for a fact that she would not respect.
Right. It depends. The not respecting comes from how you treat me.
No, he could be kissing your feet. And if you can come home from a long day, he done washed the dishes, did everything he was supposed to, and cooked, and you're going to be like, let me guess you're still sitting there. It's going to start with little...
I would not. That's not my person. That's not nice.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Listen, that's my friend. That's my best female friend on earth. And I know she'll get diabolical.
We got a good question.
Yes.
Somebody said, is it manipulation?
She is.
Somebody said, is it manipulation if a man enters the relationship monogamous but springs on polygamy after love?
Hold on, I want you to ask that one more time. You know why I'm gonna say this before you say that? The reality is we have to just establish when a woman's security, provision, and protection, would you say that's your three components for a woman to feel safe?
Yes.
What were it?
Security, protection, and provision.
Yeah.
That's your three major components, right?
Yeah.
When a woman, in most cases, say that she wants a man that is financially secure, she's automatically looked at to some people as a gold digger. Mm-hmm. But to me, I look at that as more stability diggers. I think more women are stability diggers than they are gold diggers. Yes. And I always say this. I think a lot of women genuinely believe that, oh my God, if you need to feel secure and this is what makes you feel secure, you got to live in your truth. Because if you don't live in your truth, then you're going to live in your lie. And when you live in your lie, here comes the words. Here comes the little levels of disrespect. Oh my God, you think you playing a video game again? You know, and it's just reality. Because you say, oh, I'd rather a man be home all day. Women, in most cases, do like a man. That's why I always tell men, keep your values up. Because if you lose your value, the women will lose respect for you. You got to keep your same. A woman will always value a man that women want more. I'm being honest. And we both know that to be a fact. If Denzel was a cashier worker or Barack Obama worked at a cashier, y'all would not be looking at him. Neither one of them.
That's true.
But their level of power and the fact that so many women want them. Denzel looks like a gym teacher, like an old school gym teacher. No disrespect, I love Denzel Washington. Yeah. But he doesn't, you know, if you said Idris Elba, I can see why a woman said Brad Pitt, I can understand why. But I'm looking at certain guys, like I don't see them as this looker. But again, it's the power that he comes with that women are allured to. And it's just fair and honest. Would you agree with that, Rob?
Well, which part?
Or as far as the women seeing the man that is like more, he might not be as attractive, but his stuff is so together.
Yeah, resources. I mean, it goes back to they want to secure the man that's going to provide them the best chance of protecting for them and their children. You know, they want it's resources. Like you said,
Yep.
It's what was the word you said? It was not a gold digger, but a
stability digger.
Stability digger. They want stability.
He wants stability.
Yeah. So if a man has money, then they know that there's a better chance that they're going to be able to raise their children in a safe environment. And,
yes.
You know, and that's you can't hate them for that. But in the same way that you can't hate a woman for being hypergamous, you can't hate a man for being wired for variety. And this is what society has done to us. We've shamed the men with this monogamy only thing rather than just showing them the ethical way to do it. Because I'm not saying don't do it unethically, do it ethically. Going back to what Viv said, she talked about, well, the reason that they get upset is because they've been hurt. Well, how do we reverse all this? We got to get back to what God said, because if we did it God's way, she would have never got hurt. If I took her virginity, I'm married to her for life. That, you know, and now her father has the power to veto it, but other than that, I got to marry her. Okay, so she didn't get her heart broken by a bunch of strong men. The man that had sex with her wifed her. But the man does have the right to have more than one wife. So again, but why won't the man wife her when he takes the virgin? Because he's been told that he can only have one. So he gets scared and he's like, you know, and he throws her back in the water. So again, she gets hurt. Again, women suffer the most under this false doctrine. Men aren't suffering, not at large. The women and the children suffer, which is why, you know, to me, I'm super passionate about exposing it, because, yeah.
That's why you have a lot of broken homes.
Yeah, a ton. And it's only getting worse. It's only getting worse. Half of women aged 25 to 44 are expected to be single and childless by 2030. It's only 5 years away.
Yes.
It's going to be very bad for the world. We got a population collapse happening right now. I mean, we have to get back to making babies. And we got, like, if we could just fix the family, man, the country would be so much better. So you got to get people, my platform before this was actually sexual purity. I believe in saving sex for marriage, and because I lived on the other end of it and I saw how chaotic my relationships were. But when I really said, okay, I'm not going to have sex until I'm married, then all of a sudden it was very easy to see that I didn't really see long-term potential in this person. Before, I would just have sex, and then I would try to figure out, is there long-term potential after we were already having sex? Yes. And then I'd realize, nah, there's not. And then, you know, of course, the relationships would end. So I became very passionate about that. But it's both. It's like, look, I'm still for sexual purity. I think, you know, don't just have sex with people. You either marry them and then have sex, or if you have sex with them, you marry them. But a man can marry more than one, and we need to stop telling him that he can't, because the Bible never does. It never does. And the men who wrote the Bible primarily had multiple wives. So if somebody on the screen was saying, "Oh, now they're going to bring God into this," or somebody said it was demonic. I'm like, you do realize that the Bible was written primarily by men with multiple wives. That is the biggest psyop that has ever been pulled on us. They literally convinced us this was something evil while simultaneously reading a book that was written by men who practiced it. How crazy is that?
That is crazy.
You will literally study the Psalms of David and preach them from the pulpit. But if David walked into your church, you would throw him out. You would never let a man with more than one wife attend your church. I know, because I got excommunicated from my church just for talking about this. So this is the biggest psyop that's ever been perpetrated on humanity, but definitely Christianity.
Someone call in right now before we get out of here today. 516-253-1150. One more time, 516-253-1150. Call in right now if you have something to say about this particular topic. Speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm going to say it one more time. Somebody put the number up there, 516. All right, let me pin that comment. 516. What about my question? What is your question? Call in right now. Call in your question. That's a question?
Yeah, her question was, is it manipulation if a man enters the relationship monogamous but springs on polygamy after love?
100%.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's faulty.
The problem is, though, is a lot of men made a commitment to monogamy in ignorance.
Somebody said I'm holding my peace, Q.
Because a lot of men weren't privy to this information, so they just said, yeah, okay, they get married even at times, you know, under the terms of monogamy, because they weren't aware that this was their right, especially if they're Christian men. For me, it was all about obedience to God. I would never be talking about something I didn't think God was okay with, or you know, actively pursuing it. I'm not saying actively, but pursuing it. So a Christian man that learns this, this might be the first time they've ever heard it, and they made monogamous vows. They're in a sticky situation, because you shouldn't break your vows. The Bible's pretty clear about that too.
100%.
We actually have a community of men, and some of them have walked through this, and there is ways you could get a dissolution of vows where you basically, your wife kind of lets you off the hook because she realizes that you made the vows in ignorance, but you shouldn't just go out and break your vows. But at the same time, the man made the vows in ignorance, so it's tough, man. The society, the culture really screwed us. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you like for instance, you know, like, there's gonna be a woman. Let's say Viv, he got woman A, woman B. He might want to marry woman B, but he chooses woman A because woman A fits more criteria, but he wanted both of them.
Yeah.
And then he marries woman A, and then he sneaks back to what?
Woman B.
Woman B. Because in reality, he wanted both of them. And it's just what it is. I don't know what it is, and like he said, I think is a biological thing, because most men definitely think like this. And then a woman be like, well, I can do it too. You can. But I want to see what levels of respect comes out of it. I want to see two men that are willing to subscribe to you, and I bet you it'll be two beta men that would date a woman that she sleeps with both of them, and they comfortably allow it. It's not, because they said that it's two things. They said when a man sleeps with a woman, and they said when a man sleeps with a woman, he said, oh, so what if a woman sleeps with a man? He said men are slut makers. A woman is a slut when she sleeps with multiple men, but men are considerably slut makers.
Yeah.
It's just reality is women have to understand that in the dating market, we control our value of what we choose, and vice versa. A man can come into a relationship and say, hey, I've been with 100 women.
He's a stud.
He's a stud. But if a woman tells me she's been with 100, I'll give you a story. One time I met this girl. She told me, she said, Q, I was promiscuous, and I'm gonna be honest with you. She said, you're not gonna respect it. I said, no, I'm gonna respect it. And I said, whatever you say, this is me being the Christian man that I am. I'm like, I'm not gonna judge you. So I said, how many you had? She said, see, I don't wanna say because you're gonna judge me. I said, no, seriously, tell me. She said, I slept with 75 men. I said, God damn. God damn. Yo, that means it's 150 men, bro. I said, look, I love you, my sister, but that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yep. That's so sad.
Think about it. You submitted to 150 men. That's crazy. And you know what a woman gonna say? Oh, he's insecure. That's why he don't want to be with me. No, it's not that.
No, yeah.
It means you have no level of discernment when it comes to choosing who you intimate with.
Like a gold ring and a pig's snout is a beautiful woman without discretion. That's what the Bible says. It's like it's a waste. You could be hot, but you're only as hot as the people you're banging.
Yeah.
So like if you're letting everybody get it, it ain't worth
Trash.
nothing, right? Like even a woman will like you'll see another woman and what's the slur? Whore. Even women like
Y'all even feel like that.
a man doesn't call another man whore.
No.
Like that wouldn't be an insult, right?
Yes, he'll laugh.
What we would call a man is an incel.
Yes.
That guy can't get no pussy.
Yes.
Right?
That's a new term.
That's the slur to him, but to the woman, it's a whore, right? So
Yes.
He's right on the money.
Listen, but society says otherwise.
Yeah.
And I just want to be fair. We have to learn that it's not a fair game, but in reality, in most cases, I'm gonna just use this as an analogy before we get out of here today. In most cases, during sex, a woman is so conscious she can stop in the middle of sex and tell them stop. Most men do not have the level of discernment to stop. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. So when we look at it, when we see that and you experience that, you're like horny and you want to do it, and then the woman's like, no, stop. You're like, how the hell she do that? Because most men don't have that emergency brake they can pull.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have it. So therefore, it shows that if she couldn't pull her emergency brake for 150 men. That is diabolical. Listen, that's crazy. But you got anything you want to say before we get in today?
Nah, man, I love this conversation. Thank you for
I
having me.
love this so much. Tell them where they can find you and everything.
Yeah, I got a website, robbkowalski.com. It's my name with my middle initial. And I got a course and community for
Yes.
guys that are believers or Christians, and they're learning more about this. Some of them are pursuing it. Some of them are already practicing it and trying to navigate life in a world that's really not built for us to have this belief. So it's called Man of Options, and you can just go to manofoptions.com and start a 7-day free trial. We got about 20 guys in there right now, and it's growing. And yeah, I'm just excited that this is conversations being had, and it's getting out there, because I just wish somebody had told me about it one time. If somebody would have just mentioned it one time,
Yes.
it would have changed my entire life, because I was holding on to this lie, never looking into it. And, it just cost me dearly, man. It just, it cost me from building. My wife is pregnant now. I haven't announced that publicly. So she's 13 weeks, and this is my first child, my first wife.
Hold on, we can't just bypass that. Come on, guys. Fatherhood is an amazing experience.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm very excited. But I would have started a lot sooner had I known this. So I'm just hoping to be that guy for someone else. Some young, 27-year-old me, when I first started following the Lord, even if they think, well, this guy's crazy, man, this is BS. He's wrong. Okay, listen, don't believe anything I'm saying. Go open the Bible and study for yourself. Stop believing everything that they tell you at the pulpit. Jesus spent half of his ministry challenging false doctrine. That was only a few hundred years after the Bible was written, the last book. Now it's been 2,000 plus years since the last book of the Bible was written. So you're trying to tell me that there's not false doctrine in the church? Come on. Don't be foolish. We're not getting everything right. Tradition has seeped in and changed things, and this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest. So open the Bible, study for yourself. Don't believe what I'm saying, and just go to God in prayer about it. Oh, my Instagram is Unplugged Christian. Unplugged Christian.
Unplugged Christian.
Yeah, like unplugged from the Matrix or the lie.
Guys, let's give it up for Rob. Guys, the one thing we have to establish is everyone has their way of life, their beliefs, their thoughts, and we have to respect everybody. But what might not apply for you might not apply to you. It might apply for her. It might apply for him. So we have to respect each other's for their way of living, because if it works, and I do believe what Rob said earlier today was, I think more people would be happy if they live in their truth. And this is just a reality that most people will always revert back to. I think cheating has become a major issue in today's society because most men who are considerably the men that most women would want are not going to be in one-woman relationships. I'm just being fair and honest. And it's not easy for them to do it. If they do it, a lot of times there's resentment. So sometimes you see that he's snappy at you. He's a little frustrated because he's not happy. And he's only doing it because he knows that makes you happy. But I think two people happy makes a great home. So we have to live in our truth and accept each other for who we are. Till next time, guys. Don't let that go over your head.